I go, your problem isn't your people. Okay. It's not your systems. Okay. It's an identity issue.
Hmm.
It's enforcement of that standard across shifts and everything else. Who's holding that? Who protects that? Who makes sure that's happening? Because leadership says this and this up top, and they're all aligned and they got this great plan. They got a strategy. They have all this stuff. And there's a thing we learned early in the Marine Corps: no battle plan ever survives the first shot. Okay. Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started.
Got to bring it or don't, right?
And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest, a return guest. Chris Brown's back. And Chris, as I have to always say, no one knows Chris as well as Chris. So, Chris, backstory brings up to speed so we can tear into part two here.
Hey, Richard, great to be here again. Thanks for having me on. I'm Chris, WoW Remote Teams. We do remote staffing, talent from Latin America, a lot of background in tech and building businesses and building systems and stuff. But, these days we're focused on building better teams.
Awesome, awesome. And this is a big thing because I spent a lot of time now, oddly, on LinkedIn. Never had done that. I've had a LinkedIn account since 2008. Okay. Never spent time. It's relevant. Okay. So now it's relevant. It took whatever it is, 18 years, whatever it's been, to be relevant. Now it is. But I see these discussions on people, on
Hmm.
teams, on employees, whatever fancy name. We went from like employees to associates to team members to, I don't know, they got all the little cool little names for people who work for others. So are we going to go with teams? Is that going to be our?
Yeah, I mean, teams hiring good people, finding the right talent. Like, there's so many, it's just
Yeah.
phrasing. It all means kind of the same thing at the end of
Yeah.
the day, right? Hiring good people. Yeah.
But do you find, I'll just kick it off with this. Do you find that that definition, whatever the definition is a reflection of what people can anticipate inside the company?
Hmm.
Just thought of that. That
That's a
was
good
not a
point.
planned
Yeah.
question. I just,
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah. It
just,
makes sense, right? Because like in my mind, I say teams, right? Because I think of multiple people doing multiple roles coming together as one cohesive kind of unit in order to accomplish a larger goal, right? Like
right.
there's an entire motion that has to happen and it involves a lot of different people. Maybe a lot is three and maybe a lot is 50. It depends on the scope of the thing you have and the capital you have available. But yeah, when people talk about the right person for the position, they're thinking of a singular entity. I need this thing to get done, and it requires this person in this role. And when you talk about a team, you're thinking about, I need this larger set of problems, plural or singular, to be solved, on a general, ongoing, organizational kind of basis. So it's, mindset and the way we talk about things is important, and the verbiage we use is important because it gets to the point of what is it that we're focused on in that moment. And, me saying teams there, I'm focused on teams. Like I'm thinking
Right.
about my team. I'm thinking about the entire organization and how we build that out and how we structure something better and stronger and do a better service and do a better business. But, at the end of the day, if you need to fill one role, then you're thinking about a person. So yeah, I think the terminology is important.
Yeah. And I think too, though, again, and I've had a lot of discussions too on hiring process.
Hmm.
Okay. Like people are like, they wonder why no one stays and blah, blah, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like and you go dive into that, okay, and you start at the hiring process. I go,
Right.
yeah, you're losing people in like the second connection,
Hmm.
because you don't have a system in place, and it's not. And go back to the teams thing. Even if you're hiring an individual, seldom does any company goes, I need this one person to do this one thing. They're going to be in a cubicle, or maybe all by themselves, and no one's going to bother. They're just going to produce. Okay, like that's a rarity, right? So
Yeah.
I think when you're talking about join the team, it sets a standard. Like, you're going to come here and be part of something. Okay,
Hmm.
you're not going to come here and be a guy who punches the clock, does his job, and leaves. Okay,
Yeah.
that's an assembly line. Okay, and even that would should be a team. But you know what I mean? So I think the terminology to me has bearing. I think it really matters what you're trying to project, where they're coming into, because people are looking for purpose, right? That's the
Hmm.
number one thing they want when they go to a place to work. They want purpose. So if you're not that isolationist, okay, you want to like, oh, I work with other people, or am I just me in a cubicle? Like, and
Yeah.
there's people who do that every day. I watch them here in this co-working space, and those are the right people for that job, right? But depending on the requirements, I think it's just interesting how people um, describe where people are coming to join. What that is. So in your experience, Chris, you're bringing people into other businesses.
Hmm.
You're supplying talent,
Yeah.
right? So, I know we walked through this a little bit before too, but just kind of refresh. Are they giving you, like, here's what are you seeing? We'll just hit this again. What are you seeing from expectations from the employer front? They're giving to you that you're now going to go place talent that you have relationship with to go into this company. Is that dicey? Is that
It can be. It's so all over the board. Like it's just it's incredibly unique and one-off. I would say the people that have more experience with team building have a much stronger idea of like what they have that process that you're talking about built out better. And when you have that process built out better, you have a much better idea of what you need in each section of that team in order for it to function correctly. And that's always kind of a balance thing, but what we get on our side is just it's all across the board. It might be somebody calling you and giving you a very ambiguous understanding of I need a CSR person to answer the phones, all the way to I need an account executive who does this exact set of things. They know these sets of tools. They've integrated this previously. They're going to work with six other people. They're going to be third in charge to start and hopefully move up to second and maybe even move up to first in their own pod or division or something. You get this wide array of like someone that understands that they need some help with something to someone that knows exactly how it is that they're going to grow this and they just need the right kind of people to fill those seats and they know what that process to get those right people are. So it becomes a consultative kind of thing all across the board because you're the one end, the ambiguous end, you're asking a lot of questions, right? Like how do you get clarity out of somebody who hasn't figured out that clarity yet? Like you need enough clarity to fill a good positions, and I'm here to fill
yeah,
positions. So
yeah. Well,
and on the other end, yeah.
yeah, I'm
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
thinking. I'm thinking. So those two case scenarios there. Um, what do you see from a retention standpoint after they're hired? Are they staying longer on the guy who knows exactly what they want because you're honing the exact person to make a perfect fit? Where the other one could be a square peg, could be a round peg, and it could be a diagonal hole. Who knows? I mean, I don't know, but it seems like the ability to have greater retention for that individual would be the one who's got more clarity on their expectations.
Yeah. You would think so. My gut instinct is to say that that's probably true. I don't actually have like a data point to give you the on the ground answer. I would say that it comes down in my experience. Again, this is just a gut throwing it out here. It's more about clear expectation setting and good alignment of personalities. I mean, the person who has it really understanding what they need and what that need is and who needs to be where that's going to be a better fit for the role, right? They're going to find the person that's the right fit for the role, but do they find the right personality that aligns with the other team members? Do they have that in mind when they're filling it, or are they just feeling that here's the skills that I need, place them in there? And then maybe somebody already on that team is toxic. Maybe that's why the position is open in the first place, right? You get into this
Right.
interpersonal piece that's really,
Oh,
I think a lot of retention comes down to wanting to stay somewhere. If the position is good, if it's the right role for you, but you don't like the people you work with, you're never going to stay there. You're going to be
yeah.
there for as long as it takes to find another position.
Yeah. I was talking with someone about a large manufacturing company, and the turnover is just unbelievable at every level.
Oh,
Okay, it's not just the floor, and the
yeah.
fire and turn is just constant. It's like, I mean, I can help them, but I got to find the person who's suffering from that. You know, you got to who's actually
Hmm.
who does this actually hurt here? Because it doesn't seem like anyone cares.
Yeah.
You know, you got this turnover, but someone has to care, right? Someone has to like somebody I can help you with this, but this is like it's just and the stuff just seeps out. You hear it
Yeah.
on the street about a place. I mean, that's
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
Yeah, you
That
if you got toxic culture, man, everybody knows. Everybody who's worked there
and
goes, I wouldn't be there again, and that
and
just
let me just say
hurts
this
it.
is for what they do, they're the largest in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know.
Mm,
Let that sink in for a minute. Okay. So it's like, wow. So it's but I was talking to somebody the other day, and I do this often on my podcast, but we may have mentioned this last time as well. But I said one of the simplest ways I can say it about keeping people, Chris, is I said they need to know how to win on the day, the week, the month, the quarter, and the year. If you can
mhm.
show them how to do that in their position in your business, people will stay. I get it. There's more things to it. I'm just saying that philosophy help people be winners at their job. Like it's not super complicated, but if they know where the goal line is every day, like they're going to hit it. And when they don't,
Yeah.
you can find out why, and you can correct it,
Yeah.
get them back on, have them do it, because people want to come to a place they can be a winner at. I'm just saying they
Yeah.
might want to come back because they get to win every day and feel good about themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, focusing on the successes, being clear about what the successes are, and then you know, being open to failure, I think is a
Yeah,
piece of that. And I don't know if that's totally tangential to what you're saying, but if people are afraid to fail because they're afraid of the repercussions of failure, like they don't ever fail, and then if you don't ever fail, you don't ever really succeed.
that's it.
So having an openness to that, I mean, focusing on success, but understanding that failures are very useful. And if
Yeah,
your culture is toxic around failure, it's real tough.
yeah. I don't know. I've seen so many, Chris, that and they are or they aren't or they're halfway there or like you said, you get the individual right. You got that one person. Like, why is this person here? Like you
Yeah.
go in, like I'll go in and I don't have any emotional attachment to the place, right? I'll go in and I can see this person. It's like a blinking red light. Like, why does he work here? It's
Hmm.
like one of the first times like, why does that guy work here? I go, well, you don't even know him. I go, I only needed like
Oh, me
45
too.
seconds. 45 seconds. I can tell you, has he done
Hmm.
this, and this? He goes, yeah. I go, okay. That's why he shouldn't be here. He goes, how did you know? I go, because it's like a mold. You know what I mean? It's like these people are similar. The
Hmm.
attributes are the same. You can see where they go. So it's kind of interesting. But then you can't get people to let go of those people for whatever reason. They could have a skill set, or they're
Yeah.
just comfortable because then they have to replace a guy who's got 5 years of experience, and they don't have that. Then they have to go. And I've seen that in multiple places.
Yeah.
It's
Sunk
really
cost fallacy.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it's it's the unwillingness to address the human capital.
And
Okay.
there's this idea that I saw a podcast with Elon not too long ago, but he said that people are people will sit in discomfort in order to avoid acute discomfort or acute pain. So they won't lean into the acute pain that they need to do in order to get out of discomfort. They'd rather
Yeah.
sit in the discomfort.
Yeah.
Something like that. I'm badly
No,
paraphrasing him, but
that's
that
it's
idea
good
right
though.
there,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's wow. I mean, I was the one I'm like, man, you're just there's a great reliance on dashboards and systems and processes and EOS and this and they got all these things, bells
Hmm.
and whistles they can look at because that's what gives them comfort. Well, it's
Yeah.
green. The production is green on here. They don't see what's happening way upstream of there. The
Hmm.
drifts and everything else that's happening. You don't want all these little variances and deviations and whatever the other personality stuff is all going to cause that to collapse eventually. And it won't be a
Yeah.
simple fix. It
Yeah.
won't
It's
show up
this.
until the end. It's we call it the command drift. And it's just they're going to keep and it's slow. It's a drift. It's not a leap. Okay. So it's going to creep
Yeah.
up on you. If you don't know how to identify it, and fix it and control it, then you're going to have bigger problems down the line. But I see so many people, and I get it to an extent. They just they're running a business and maybe they have 50, 60 employees, 100 employees, and they're doing the stuff, but that's like personal. They can't separate, like it's like too personal for them, like dealing with
Hmm.
people. They want
Yeah.
to run a business,
Yeah.
not people, even though people are the main
Our
part of
business,
it.
our
Nothing's getting
business.
produced without them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, especially when you're 50 or 100 people, like it's very hard to be personal at that level. And you end
yeah.
up with this thing where the same thing happened. Like there's all this talk about these things happening with health metrics and sleep metrics and stuff, where if you keep measuring the same thing, that's the thing that you end up optimizing for. And you become blind to all the other pieces of it that are potentially very impactful, but you don't have a way of measuring them today. So the thing that gets measured is the thing that gets focused on, right? What gets measured gets managed, that whole thing.
Mhm.
But you become blind to the things that aren't measured. And you see this kind of in the larger tech companies, right? All these stories about like an engineer at Amazon who goes and re-engineers a system that's been working perfectly for 15 years and makes it 4% more efficient, but it doesn't actually do the job it was supposed to do anymore. And he gets promotion because it was more
Right.
efficient. And it's like, well, you broke the entire thing, but the thing that was measured has gotten proved, so you got a promotion, right? Like that whole
Yeah,
set of circumstances. Yeah.
that's a great point. I see that often. It's really trying to understand what they're. It's like treating symptoms. Okay, I won't go on the tangent, but it's the allopathic medical system, right?
Hmm.
They just treat symptoms. They're not there to
Yeah.
cure anything. I'm
Yeah.
about cures, results, and cures, right? I want to fix the problem where it begins, not halfway down the line, because that's
Yeah.
only temporary. That's like, and I call it like leadership training and other thing. Go to a seminar and you feel good for 3 days, and by next Thursday, it's all back to the same because it's not who you are, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
stick. It's not an
You didn't change
identity
your
anymore,
habit.
right? So, and there's just that they just keep dumping money in it.
Hmm.
This at this large place I was talking about earlier. I said, yeah, they used to do a lot of leadership training, this and they stopped. I go because it doesn't work.
Because it doesn't do
they,
anything.
they're still got to 32% turnover. You know what I mean? So like it didn't work. Okay, so that and now they get a little gun shy. Like what is the fix? Then you try to introduce that to them because, but again, they're always looking at symptoms and not the cause.
Hmm.
Causes are hard
Yeah.
to
It's
identify. So
yeah.
and I'm sure you've seen that. And all stuff you do as well. But it's just how do you I know we talked about this before a little bit too, but I think it's worth bringing back up because, like I said, I'm getting a lot of feedback on people, people, people. You know, I learned, in the private equity space. Okay, they're acquiring companies, right, and they're putting these things together, merging a lot of factories and things like that. And they used to be based on cost cutting, right? They
Hmm.
come in, they cut, they slash, they do all this. They didn't care about people. Okay. So like they just did that, but now, and they want like 5% EBITDA. Now they need like 12%, right? Otherwise, but you can't do that by just cutting costs. So everybody's scrambling, trying to go, it's operations, it's operations, it's operations. So they're trying to get Kaizen and lean and they got all these things, but we've had that because that doesn't work. Okay. Again,
Hmm.
symptoms. Okay, you're not going to the cause. You got to go upstream for that. It comes back down to command drift. It's about enforcing standards consistently across shifts, right?
Hmm.
Like you got these people and they're allowed to make these little, we got to keep production. So they tweak this and they work around this and they don't escalate that. And that's where it all begins, but they allow that because they're looking at a green light on the dashboard, you
Yeah.
know, but all those little things compound and then boom, the collapse happens, right? So that's what I'm talking about. I'm like upstream of that, right? So we can catch that early, but they're not able to see it. But now they're in kind of a panic, which works really well for me because I'm just coming going, have you thought about this? And I'm just like pointing things out. I'm not even like I'm just pointing things out like, oh, I go, you have to address that. Can you measure that? No one's been able to measure what's happening on the floor, execution, right? How do you measure execution? No one knows how. Well,
Hmm.
except me. I can do that. Okay, so it's kind of cool, but it puts me in a place where it's not your people. This is the whole point of like what you do, I do. I go, your problem isn't your people. Okay. It's not your systems. Okay. It's an identity issue.
Hmm.
It's enforcement of that standard across shifts and everything else. Who's holding that? Who protects that? Who makes sure that's happening? Because leadership says this and this up top, and they're all aligned and they got this great plan. They got a strategy. They have all this stuff. And there's a thing we learned early in the Marine Corps: no battle plan ever survives the first shot. Okay.
Pretty much, right? Yeah.
It looks really pretty on paper. Bang bang.
Mhm.
Oh, everyone's, it's a whole different thing.
Everybody's running different directions
Right.
now. Oops.
So it's
Yeah.
that. Oh, well, look, he soiled his shorts. Okay. We got to do something, so so that's kind of where I'm at, right? So I'm looking at like, okay,
Mm.
how do we do that? So they're kind of missing the ball, but we're exposing that and showing it, and I have solutions and stuff. So it's really good. So because my goal, Chris, really is I want people to I think everyone should work. I think work is a great thing. It's a God-given
Mhm.
gift to work. It was the first commandment he gave to Adam in the garden. Work the garden, man. Get busy. Okay. Yes, everything's perfect. You got a perfectly beautiful naked wife, but you need to work. Okay.
Yeah.
You can't be just doing that, right? So work is a good thing, and people actually enjoy work when work is good,
Hmm.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
when again, they know how to win, it's productive, they have a sense of accomplishment every day. So what I want to do is I want them to have the highest probability of success they possibly can, right? And that's what I want to change, because people won't talk about culture a lot. You probably hear this a lot, and I
Hmm.
get it. They don't know how to install that. I said, but if things vary inside on how you can execute this and this and this, as there's no complete standard that's enforced and held, I said, it's all up to interpretation. So one guy will be super tight, another guy will be loose, so you got all this variance here and there, and that's a problem, right? For everybody. No one knows what's really supposed to happen. What am
Yeah.
I actually trying to achieve here? And if it's vague, that's a real problem for a company, right? I mean, how can you place
Hmm.
people in there to work? Like,
Yeah. And you're
you know what I
just like,
mean?
well, I just need this kind of thing done over here. And they're like, well, okay. It
Right,
takes me,
right.
you know, the
Yeah,
basis of that takes me 5 hours a week. What about the rest? Yeah. What are you doing?
yeah. This, and we touched on this a little bit before, but it's that the diagnosis that you have to do with these people who are looking for additional talent, right? They want to bring
Hmm.
someone in, want to hire you, get me people. Like we already said earlier, some have no clarity, some have absolute clarity. There's all this in between work that you have to do just to try to get a decent person who's going to stay a while, right?
Hmm.
Are you hiring on multiple levels, like permanent hires, temps? Do you kind of cross all lanes there? What are you doing as far as the talent you supply?
A bit. We're mostly focused on permanent long-term positions. So we don't do a lot of short-term stuff. We don't do a lot of temp stuff. We do like some trial period things where they come in knowing it's, a month or two to make sure that this is a good fit, that kind of
Mm,
thing. But I'm really not doing like short-term temp work. It's all
good,
looking for that long-term
good, good.
ongoing placement. So I'm
Well,
looking to, my best business is finding the right person. Yeah.
right. So that it just goes back to the point, right?
Hmm.
You need some clarity from these
Yeah.
businesses on what specifically they're looking for. Have you developed a method where like here's a form, fill out this form completely. You see a little
Yeah,
asterisk?
actually, yeah.
See a little asterisk? Those are required. They're on every box.
Yeah, so there's actually
Uh,
there's a couple pieces there. Number one is there's an intake form which is filled out by us. So we don't have the client fill it out. We ask them questions on a call and take in their response. So it's all transcribed, of course, but we also just, fill out
mhm.
the form ourselves. That way we have somebody that's on our team getting an understanding of their answers in real time. Because if you just fill out the form, maybe you misunderstand the question. Maybe you fill it out, people go, oh, I'm not sure. And they just kind of put some fluffy
Yeah,
stuff in there. It's like, no,
yeah,
tell me about that. Tell me about why is this important to you? Okay, well, here's our six core company values. Does that mean anything? Or are those just words you found on Google? Like,
yeah.
tell me about this. But I think the really and I don't know if this is just secret sauce at this point, but the really impactful part is being on interviews with people. So you get an understanding of the job needs, you get an understanding of the character fit, like ask them about, who fits well with you, what kind of person do you like, who do you want to work with for the next 2 years? If they were working beside you, what kind of person do you get along with well? But then you find a couple people, find a couple candidates that you think are a fit, and you go sit in on an interview with them. We have our recruiters do it. That way, the recruiters see the process with the person. And that gives you the real boots on the ground kind of interaction with that person, right? What questions are they answering? What do they like about this? What do they not like about how that person interacts? What did they get along well with? Did they laugh and were they enjoying this person's time? If so, what kind of personality was that? What kind of attitude did both sides have? And then you get a real glimpse into what kind of person is going to fit well with this person on a normal kind of interaction. An interview is not the best thing for that. It's kind of like that first date kind of thing where you're trying to
Right.
present yourself well and both sides are nervous and it's kind of a little, but you really get a lot more interaction out of that than you do out of a form because the form, again, here's my company values. Okay, well, everybody thinks, communication and integrity are the core values of their company, but
Right.
are they?
Tell me what that actually means in practice.
Yeah,
Give me some
what does that really mean?
scenarios. Give me a
Yeah.
scenario where communication was not upheld or was held at the highest standard. What would that look
Hmm.
like? And they get the deer in the headlights look, right?
Yeah.
So I do that often. I've learned that the scenario training is very valuable.
Hmm.
Here's the situation. Here's this. We train these frontline commanders. It's primarily role play and it's super intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it is awesome. You want to put someone in role play, like, man, just going, like, you'll just see them crumble into a little puddle. If crumbs can become a puddle, but what it does though, it really
Mm-hmm.
shows them because we all have this thing in our head, but when our words come out of our mouth, it's totally different.
Hmm.
When you're in a
Yeah.
pressure situation, how do people react
Yeah.
under pressure? Pressures is what tests people, right? We actually call it a pressure test, right? That's how you cook rice. It's got to be under pressure, right? And then otherwise you got some pretty hard rice. So I always like to remind people of that. But I love that you guys, your recruiters, and that go watch these interviews because I think it does a twofold thing. Not only do they watch the candidate and how they react, but really you're really seeing what that company is looking for.
Hmm.
Especially if you're going to be doing years of business with these people.
Yeah.
They're always filling another role, this and that, and you really got to understand that what they're actually about. And however
Yeah.
that works. Because it's
Yeah.
it's challenging.
And that's part of what we tell them at the initial intake. So when we have a very first initial call with somebody in the sales process and all that, we tell them that two things. Number one, this is an interview, not just a sales call. Like I'm making sure that you're a good client. I'm making sure that you fit with what we do and that our services fill your need. Because if not, then we can end this conversation and you can go find somebody that actually does the thing you need. And number two, that the future hires will be faster and potentially better fits than the initial hire. Not that the initial hire won't be a great fit. I'm aiming for a great fit always.
Right.
But once we've gone through that process with you, we understand you so much better that we're going to be able to do it faster. We're going to be able to get the candidates that fit with you better on those first rounds. So, it's an understanding process and it's iterative. This isn't just I have 26,000 people sitting in an office in Bogota and I'm just going to drop one into your
Right.
thing. And if they work,
Right.
cool. If not, it's not really my problem.
I
No,
need a
not at all.
typist. I need a typist
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, 60 words a minute. That's good. Yeah, I got to get 60. And they'll just sit there and type all day. It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Those
What are
those are
they
really
typing? I don't
fulfilling.
know, but
Yes,
they're
it doesn't
typing.
matter. They're typing.
They're
Can
typing.
they
It's a
can they
monkey with a
change the
typewriter.
ribbon? Can they change the ribbon in the typewriter? That's the skill set we need right there. 60 words a
Yeah.
minute and change the ribbon on their own. Okay, but no, I think that's really good. And I think the challenge of this stuff, Chris, is really for me is I'm on both sides, right? People are hiring, like I'm talking to people like you, but then I'm inside seeing this stuff, what's going on the floor. And it's just, I think we kind of go back to what we were saying before. It's hard to address it's kind of the herding cats mentality.
Hmm.
They're trying to, how do we do this for 100 people, 300 people? I mean,
Yeah.
there's companies that do it. Why
Yeah.
are they good? Why
Yeah.
do people love it? Why do people never leave?
Yeah.
Why is there 75 out of 95 people who have been here for 28 years? Okay. Like you're doing something right. You know,
Hmm.
I want to know what that is. And it's not one thing. That's the problem. It's not, hey,
So what
it's
is
not,
it? What
yeah,
do you
it's,
see?
but what is it? Like it's, and you can put it under the umbrella of culture, but
Hmm.
culture is a stack of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not how you treat, it's purpose, it's recognition, it's quality pay, it's whatever that is, community in there, understand the full vision of the company and things like that. I don't know. There's a lot to it. And I don't like to be like fluffy. Okay. Like I want hardcore, like what do we need to do? So it can be challenging, but I just think it's a way bigger picture than people think.
Yeah.
It's not
Absolutely.
there's not a solution.
Yeah.
There's one of many, but you have to begin somewhere. And what I've done is decided, again, I'm upstream of all this other stuff. If we can do this, I'm a foundational thing. Okay. It's
Hmm.
command stability. That's what I call it. It's command stability. If you got that and it's foundational, so it's under everything else, it's all stacked up on there. If you can get that, you have something to build on. But if you
Yeah.
don't have, it's the old adage, right? You got a crumbly foundation. Well, nothing's going to last that
Everything
you
else
put
is
on
falling
top of it,
apart.
right? So it's hard, but the problem, Chris, is people don't know where the foundation begins.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. They don't understand where to begin to dig, right?
Yeah.
And where are you going to put it? They don't know where the house is going to face. They don't know how deep it's supposed to be. They don't know, how strong is it supposed to be to support what above it, and that kind of stuff. So it can be kind of a challenge. But um,
Especially if that foundation's crumbling and you're already at 100 people working for you. Like it's so you're managing, 15 teams of people at that point, and then you're like, oh, I have to totally re-engineer the underlying aspect of how we operate the baseline of this so that everything below it also operates well. You're like, I don't have time
and
for that.
yeah, and there's your extreme pain situation
Hmm.
because you're going to
Yeah.
lose the majority of those people because they've become accustomed to this chaos.
Hmm.
And people, they kind of just adapt to chaos, and that's how they
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
things. And all of a sudden you want to come organize it, you'll lose people for the better. It's
Hmm.
short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
You're always going to get
there's
pushback though.
there's
Anytime you
not a
change
lot of
anything.
people that want to go through that pain.
No.
It takes
No,
some real
especially yeah,
commitment.
they're comfortable, they're getting their paycheck, they know they're part of the process, and you're gonna come in
Yeah.
and disrupt all of that. People do not like
Well,
that. I don't like it. It's
yeah,
hard.
yeah, none of us do, but I'm saying
Yeah.
yes, on the floor you're going to get that. But I'm talking about up the chain. They
Hmm.
don't want to go through that process. I
Yeah,
mean,
of course not.
they have to be suffering in a very, very deep way, like bottom line stuff. I mean, there's got to be some real pain felt for them to make that kind of change because of what it's going to look like for 3 months,
Yeah.
4 months, 5 months, 6 months. It's going to be, you're going to get a hockey stick of chaos. Then you're going to have a cliff that drops back down to normal,
Yeah,
but
it's like a energy of activation chart from chemistry.
yeah,
You got to
so
get up to the top to get it to
yeah,
happen, but once it
yeah,
happens, you're good.
yeah. And that's a hard sell. It's
Yeah.
it's a hard sell,
So
but
what do you see happen there? Do you get a ton of turnover and you just have to replace it with people that are on to the new vision and method, or do you figure out how to get buy-in from the existing leadership
so
chain?
yeah, what we do is it's command infrastructure that we install. So
Hmm.
it's not a system, it's not training, it's none of that. It's infrastructure. Okay, this is foundational, right? You got infrastructure. So once you bring that in, there's a vocabulary to that. There's a way of
Hmm.
speaking and producing results consistently across shifts and everything else. And then we train, and that's like supervisor level, right? We call them commanders. Below that, you have leads or cell leads, whatever, right? Who don't really have authority. They just move the things along, right?
Hmm.
We actually teach them the vocabulary at the same time we're installing this other command. So there's a quicker assimilation, so people start to get it. Now you're always going to lose people,
Yeah.
but you're losing the right people. I'm telling you, like you're going to
Yeah.
get rid of the slackers, you're going to get rid of the
Yeah.
nonconformists and all that kind of stuff, at any cost. But the ones who get like stability and structure and they see it and go, well, yeah, because you just say, just do it. Like, I don't know what just do it means. Figure it
Hmm.
out. You get those are not commands. Okay. Figure
Yeah.
it out. Okay. We don't do that, right? We literally train our commanders. It's 14 words or less. If it's 15 words, you fail. We give commands in 14 words or less, and we
Hmm.
teach them how to do that, right? So they're very deliberate. We train silence. Silence is a very powerful tool.
Yeah,
When you want
silence
to
is a
negotiate
superpower.
what I just told you to do, he said, well, why do we got to do that? And I just look at you. And then I
Just
just
wait.
repeat, and then I just repeat the 14 words.
Hmm.
And then I look at you again and be quiet. And then eventually you're just going to go away, right? You're just going to go do it because,
Oh,
well,
hopefully you get it. Yeah.
or you're going to go to your car and leave forever. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. That's how I look at it. So,
Yeah.
but it's kind of that, and that becomes an operational standard. Okay. So
Hmm.
you've got that installed, and now people understand it. When they're told, they do it. And that goes. It's not a matter of being friends and not friends. You can do whatever you want after, but it's having that infrastructure on the floor so that we can be consistent maintaining the standards. Because most companies have standards, they all have SOPs, right? They got all the stuff. It all looks great in the book. Again, it's
Yeah.
battle plan before war. Okay, that's what it is. But what happens on the floor? There's a thing called escalation, right? Something's going wrong on the line or whatever the process might be, and it's above your pay grade to fix. This is like for an engineer. Well, I'm
Yeah.
not an engineer, so you have to now bring it to the engineer. And now that might cause a little bit of disruption right now because you can't we and you could figure out a workaround and keep it going. But again, long term, that's a problem. So we don't allow that. So you have to escalate this properly. And that shortens the whole time frame. It gets fixed right away, it gets going, you're back on track. It maintains throughput and everything else, right? Minimizes scrap, all that good stuff. So that's kind of how we're building that kind of stuff. There's an
Hmm.
operational procedure that's enforced on the floor. That's the difference. There's no enforcement mechanism right now. I call it the invisible layer. That's what this is. My new book is called The
Hmm.
Invisible Layer, but it's really people know what it is. They know of it. They've felt it. They've dealt with it, but no one's ever categorized it. No one's
Hmm.
ever labeled and say, this is what it is. This is how you fix it. This is how you measure it. So I have a diagnosis to measure it and then I can fix it.
Yeah.
Right. So no one's had the twofold. No one's ever been able to measure the floor for one ever. It's like astounding. They've never had a measurement for exactly what I'm talking about. So really interesting, right? So
Yeah.
once it's installed, you start to see the operations just efficient. People are doing their things, and it's humming, right? It's rhythm, it's cadence. That's what it's all about. And companies will get that. They'll get kind of the ebb and flow of that stuff, right? You'll have those weeks or those months where it's like, man, we were just killing it, and then it just kind of stopped. Okay,
It falls apart on you.
that's the
Yeah.
command drift, right? It felt
Hmm.
good because you kept everything going, but eventually it's going to break, and that's what we have to deter, right? We had to remove that, so now it's just this continual operating standard enforcement procedure, right? So yeah, wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. No, but it's really cool. Yeah,
Well,
I got
yeah.
it's exciting what we're doing, and to see that the need for it now, and now everyone's kind of getting it and understanding it, and I'm able to come in with a solution is pretty awesome. Because I mean this when I say I really want people to like enjoy their work,
Hmm.
and it doesn't
Yeah.
mean we're having a party all day. It means that
No,
things
but
are
you're getting sasatisfaction out of it. You're getting,
because things
you're
are
getting
efficient.
somewhere.
That's right, and
Yeah.
you're going like you're producing, you're hitting the numbers
Hmm.
consistently. You might get bonuses tied to that. Wow, how about that? Because a lot of companies I've been in, they have some pretty unrealistic bonuses. Like you ain't never getting that. These machines are 50 years old. You know how much scrap you get from these things? A lot. Because you guys don't upgrade anything, but you're tying these amazing bonuses to this that are absolutely unobtainable. Right?
Yeah, you're just putting a
There's
carrot way out there
yeah,
and saying, "Oh,
it's so
you
far
could
like
maybe get there." Never.
and everybody knows it's
Yeah.
unobtainable. This is the delusion between upstairs and the floor. Okay. You're delusional up there. We're down here doing a real thing. I would tell you it's not doable. Like we know, right? We work on
Yeah.
this every day. So there is a disconnect, right? And people don't want to kind of figure it out. So it's really eliminating that, making things realistic. Like how do we actually get to these quotas, if you will, whatever that is. There has to be a method. It has to be obtainable.
Yeah,
Like
you have to be able to get an understanding from the floor that actually translates up to leadership and that leadership understands. If you're just going to the luncheon and leadership's giving you a speech about how we're going to be so productive, and the floor is going, no, we're not, but
Right.
they're never saying that because they don't have a channel to say it. They don't have the opportunity. They don't have it's not clear set for them that they can do so. Yeah, you just have a disconnect, and then you don't have clear communication. You don't have, effective goal setting, and you're not really showing the way forward. And if you're not doing that, you're just, what are you doing? You're just making a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah. It's just, you got to be seen. I
Hmm.
don't care what level leadership you're at. You have to be seen. You
Yeah.
can't close the door and stay in the office all day. You got to be seen, especially when we get closer to the floor. It's always about, well, how often do we see this person? Well, you're the
Yeah.
ops manager. What do you mean you're never on the floor? Well, I got a
Yeah.
lot to
What are
do
you
here.
doing?
I go, well, okay, well, that doesn't work. Okay.
You're the operations manager. You're
You're
supposed to be in the
like,
operation.
they don't respect you.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't, I don't mean you got to go do the work. You got to be seen, my man or woman. Okay. You got to be seen. Okay. You got to get out there, let them know, man. Talk to them, go see what's going on, ask some questions, like participate in this process, and it's amazing. It sounds so like common. That should be
Obvious.
how
Yeah.
everyone does it, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's
No, it's really
shocking.
not. People just,
Yeah.
they go, my job is this slice, and that's what I do. Like, but if your job is to oversee this entire area, then your slice is that area.
Yeah. You're the whole pie. You
Yeah.
don't get a slice. You get the whole pie. Okay. Like that's what you do. You're the whole pie. You don't get a slice. You got to get out there and you got to mix it up and be down there, and see what's going on. At least to some degree, I get you got things to do, but if you're not 25% on the floor at minimum, okay, you're going to have no connection, going to be a complete disconnect. And I don't mean like you personally. I mean to the standards being enforced or what should be in the process and what's actually going on. You don't have a
Mhm.
clue, and by the time
Mhm.
again the dashboards are showing a blinking red light, it's way too late. It's
Yeah.
way too late. I mean, you've got months, even years of drift that you now have to correct. It's that all the crazy on the floor and the kid. Now you're going to like lose everybody. It becomes that,
Yeah,
so
because it's
people don't have that.
institutionalized at that point, right? It's
Exactly.
it's part of
Exactly.
your process, even if it's
Yeah.
not written down. Like, your process is whatever people are doing, not what's on the
Exactly.
paper.
Again, it
Yeah.
goes back to it's individuals. It's personality based. It's personality driven. It's really difficult for any business to be personality driven. And you know
Yeah.
this probably better than all of us because you
Hmm.
hire people and place people. And it's like you're, well, it's skills they need and this and that. They're not looking, but you go into a lot of companies and they're personality driven. If the one supervisor first shift, if he doesn't show up, everything goes in the crapper.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
leaves for 2 weeks, production goes down. That's personality driven, right? So there's a lot of things that are not complete in that whole structure. It's structural, right? And it can't withstand that. That's why when I think about what you do, I'm like, man, it's not. I was thinking about this before the call. Like, I'm like anti personality driven, right? Like, I don't want that. I don't want them to be the glue holding the thing together,
Hmm.
right? They can't. But sometimes people get in that situation because they're go getters. They'll make it work. They're, get it done no matter what. I mean, that's like admirable, but they don't, but they shouldn't be allowed to do that. That's the point.
Well, you also get a problem there in that if you're so go-getters are great. No, I'm a go-getter. You're a
Yep.
go-getter. Like, you gotta go get it. That's how it works. But you get this thing where there's a certain personality type that will take shortcuts in order to get it, right? And if that becomes the operating system because that's the leader, then everybody's taking shortcuts to go get it. And
Boom.
it just like it looks good. It'll make a lot of money in the short term, but you are just doomed,
Yep.
And I've seen it. I've been inside of it. I've watched it happen. It's
I
just
I love your saying
and
this. Okay. I love it. I like to hear it from others. I don't want to be the lone voice in the wilderness here, but it's exactly what you said. And you can talk to any random person who works at any company and they will tell you who that person is
Mhm.
because they
Yeah.
all got one. And I'm
Mhm.
not knocking the person, I'm knocking the process that allows that person to be able to do that
Yeah.
because the company's not paying attention. You're becoming a hostage in this
Yeah.
situation. because that person is who you're going to rely on, not your system, not your structure, not like we do command infrastructure. You don't have infrastructure, you've got personalities. Man, just, I just think about that, like, wow, that's a difficult thing to do. That's a clown show.
Yeah, no, it's disastrous. You just get ruined by it, especially, once that becomes ingrained as okay to do, and once it becomes, you look for the way out instead of the way forward, you're just in trouble at every step, especially if the people if especially if they're at a high level. If they're at a high level, the entire business is just doomed.
Yeah, it tends to roll downhill, as they say. It's
Yeah.
just a gravity thing. You know what I mean? But it's you got to keep working your way back up the chain. For the true fixes, which is always part of the challenge. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You've got, but it's when you can keep the upper level connected with just I'll call it the lower level, right? Like there has to be a continuity between there, between um what's being given, what's being strategized, what's being operational and sent down. That's all good. So we need generals in the tent. Okay. We
Mhm.
need generals in the tent. They see the whole board, they get what's going on. Someone has to make a plan. But we also get comms back from the field. What's really happening? What's really going on over here? Oh, we need to reinforce this. We need to go over here. We need to pivot and move this way, right? Because the enemy's now over here. We thought they were over here, right? So that's business, right? But if you don't have that continuity between the upper and then the floor, or the people executing the work, that's when all the problems compound.
Yeah.
It's constant compounding, and that's what drives the good people away, right?
Yeah.
That's what
And
you see.
especially, yeah. Yeah, because you lose the floor, the grunts,
Yeah,
the infantry loses trust in the leadership, right? If the plan says we're going east here, and you're going east is a wall, and all the bad guys are north, and you go, oh, too bad, we're still going east. Like nobody trusts you anymore to make your plan. Nobody's following you at that point, And that same thing, just if you're not listening to the ground at that point and updating your plan in real time and just going, well, this was the plan, we're sticking to it, nobody can follow you because your plan doesn't work. And they know it doesn't work. And they're never going to trust the next decision because they know that you're making decisions blind or based on ego or based on, your own sensitivities about being wrong,
yeah,
whatever that looks like for you.
it's that's important. That's an important distinction because I mean it's leadership, especially at a high level. There's that trust, that loyalty. That's why you got to be seen. And you've got to be seen as a leader, like physically seen. Like you have to be there, like leading things, showing
Yeah.
people or whatever, and connecting there. Otherwise, that disconnect just widens, like you're saying, and then that's where you see the turnover. In this place I was talking about, that big turnover, you've got upper management issues. That's where it is. The problem isn't on the
Hmm.
floor. They keep turning over, put new people in there, but no one's staying. Does that mean
Yeah.
everyone you hire is bad? No.
Oh,
There's,
no. It's like
there's
if your last relationships have failed spectacularly in the same way, it's not the fault of the people you're dating.
Yeah, there's another company. We have a lot of manufacturing around us where I'm at here, and there's another one where they spent a couple hundred plus million to expand, and it's beautiful, beautiful place.
Mhm.
Can't get anyone to work there. Oh, no one wants to work. Oh, come on now. I'm going to have to say
Yeah.
there's something deeper in your business. Why you have a reputation.
Hmm.
That's why no one's here. You put a coat of paint on. You built a beautiful facility, but there's a reputation for the people inside. That's why no one's working here. Okay, whatever that is.
Assuming the salary is right.
Go right. No, no, that can be part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. That's an
Yeah.
internal deal.
Yeah.
Okay, so pricing is another issue. This big place I was at, same thing. And you can go anywhere work for $20 an hour now. You can go to Panda Express,
Hmm.
okay, and make 18 an hour, like
And
doing.
people don't seem to understand that point. It's like they don't update their expectations of the market while looking at the market. Oh,
Or
when I started, it was $10 an hour. Okay, well, not
right, yeah,
anymore.
me too. I worked $5 an hour when I came out of the Marine Corps. Okay, like go to
Yeah,
jail if I paid someone that, like
yeah, it was
this.
seven
But
twenty
that's
five when I got out of the Air Force.
yeah, that's $5. I'm swinging a pickaxe all day in Tucson. Okay, for $5 an hour. All right, like I don't want to hear your sob story. You're filling buckets of orange chicken for $20 an hour. Okay, like Crimea River. Okay, so I'm just saying, like we've all been there at one level or another. But and I think that's a part of it. It's not $20 here or $20 there is not the point. They'll stay at a $20 job if the job is good.
Hmm.
It's not like, yeah, you might want to make more money, but if the place sucks, yeah, you'll go work at a fast food place and make the same money till you find a better
Or
job.
less.
Right. Because it's about the environment, it's about the whole thing. It's not the money's third. We always say that, right? Its purpose is recognition, is quality pay, right? But it's third in line for a reason.
Hmm.
But it's a big thing when the work atmosphere is horrible, right? They're not going to stay there and be abused and not make a lot of money. Okay. So I can take a little bit of abuse if I'm being paid well for it, but even then, no one's going to stay forever. But yeah, really good point on that, Chris. It really is. It's kind of important to understand, to really, I don't know what I guess you call it. There's a pay disparity,
Hmm.
okay, on the performance, because a lot of these companies, these are some skilled guys, and they're not really being compensated for their skill level. That's another issue, right? So now you have a higher skill level, you're not being paid a lot, and you got a terrible atmosphere.
Oh yeah, you're
Okay,
gone.
you're gone.
Yeah,
You're gone.
you're
You're
gone. Yeah,
sending your talent away, and that's why
yeah.
this place can't, I'm quoting, hire anybody. Okay,
Hmm.
you're not looking at the cause, right? You're saying that no one wants to work. Oh, that's such a cop out.
Yeah, it's
I
bull.
just
Yeah,
it's the garbage. Okay.
yeah. Every time, there's
It's
always somebody
garbage.
for the position.
Yeah,
Always.
you always, you haven't built it for them to come there and want
Yeah,
to work there. That's all there is to it. And you got to face that hard truth. That's
yeah,
what you have to do. Like we need to figure this out. Why? Get on the
yeah.
street and find out. Go
Why does
hear the
nobody want to work here?
reputation. Yeah.
And what do we got to do for people to want to work here? And that's a
Right.
sales process, right? I mean, you got to fix your systems, you got to make it a valuable thing, but you also have to go sell it, right? If it's just
Yeah.
nobody wants to work because nobody's filling out your application, well, did you make it? Did you coat it in gold and make it look amazing or not?
Yeah. You're
You know?
selling you're selling that job position.
Hmm.
So I tell people all the time, well, I go, you're selling that you have to sell it to someone. You have
Yeah,
to,
you
just like you
sell this,
you want
man.
them to buy this car, you got to make them want it,
Yeah,
right? Show me the bells and whistles, show me how cool, show me how fast, 0 to 60, dude, give me all the things,
yeah,
that I'm looking for. The position's the same thing.
yeah.
I'm
Make
I'm
them. You
I'm
got
going to
to tell
spend
them
like,
why they want to spend your time here.
why do you want to spend a huge portion of your life here?
Yeah,
40 to 50 hours a week here, plus travel, everything else. You're probably 50 to 60 hours, like, a week of the 128 that there are. Okay.
yeah.
You're 50% of your time minimum here. That's a big
Hmm.
commitment.
Hmm.
Okay. You might want to enjoy it.
Yeah,
So,
it might need to
you
be
know,
valuable. Yeah,
exactly. So, those are such simple things, Chris, but I don't think people talk about this enough. I don't think,
yeah,
and especially kind of your upper echelons, I don't think they're really looking at what it is. It's not a cost thing. It's not cost like, oh, we got to, I need lounges and stuff in the place, and big
ball
screen
pits.
TVs. Of course, yeah, like we need to, I need a driving range out back, stuff like
I
that.
do need a
Like,
driving range out back.
yes, well, we do. Well, I don't know, but maybe not everybody. Okay, but at the same point, like, well, what's really going on? Like, what do you actually need to do? What does it actually look like? To have a cohesive unit function on the floor, right? And I've got my solutions and everything else, but
Mhm.
I just think the mindset has to shift.
Yeah,
I'm
it's not the glamorous thing to be thinking and talking about. It's
right,
you're not raising $10 million PE rounds or whatever.
right,
You're
right,
talking about how do you make your people a little bit happier, and that's not the thing that you're going to
well,
generally go on a podcast and talk about for an hour.
right, right, but you got to understand, you have to be a visionary. You have to look at the long-term
Mm,
effect of that and what the real cost is of that. You can run
mm.
numbers. I can give you numbers. I mean,
Yeah,
turnover, you're
it's
looking at
real.
three
Yeah.
times, 3x whatever they're being paid. So if they're making
Mm,
30 grand a year, okay, and they come and they're working for 4 or 5 months and then they quit and you get the next guy, by the time you're done training doing that, it's a 3x. It's
mm.
90,000 it costs you for a new hire. Like you have to start running these numbers. When you're turning
Yeah,
over
yeah.
25%, 18%, 32%, we had one place that had a 365% turnover rate.
How's that even
Okay.
possible?
In 3 years, I was really like, is just warm bodies. You're talking fog a mirror, come on in, start working. It was unbelievable. I'm like, wow. Just I'm like, I don't even it's shocking. I just heard the number. I'm like, wow,
Was it a
that's
sales team or what was that?
no, it was a let's call it a warehouse.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Unloading, distribution warehouse, that kind of thing.
Mm.
So it's unloading and it's just 365%.
Yeah, it's just every day.
Yeah,
Just
it's
you
just
might as well
just constant.
just start
Yeah,
investing in robots at
constant.
that point or
Yeah.
something.
Now I had took a little different approach. I went in and fired half the people and then kept the good people, and we ended up being number one in the country for production with half the people and half the equipment
Yeah,
because I
it's
I
a
got the
it's
right
a familiar
people
story these
and
days.
I got in there and just like watch this and then just and killing it, and everyone made
Yeah,
3 times their normal salary.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, because all that money was
good.
now there.
It's all there
You
for
just
them.
suddenly
I'm
had
like,
so much available capital.
I really like producers. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get some people who want to produce and they'll
Mm.
earn, and they were really happy every day. You know, do the thing. We got rid of all the bust outs, and it was awesome. So it isn't possible. It can be done relatively quickly if you know what you're doing.
Mhm.
So I need a plan. But man, this has been a good conversation. You know,
Yeah.
most people know on the STS podcast, it's not a lot of structure. We usually hit
No,
things
it's the
pretty
best way
good,
to do
but
it. It's a
it,
conversation, right?
yeah, and the return appearances are always fun.
Yeah,
So and this has been awesome. I think we hit some new stuff, don't you?
I think so. Yeah,
I think we
hope
did.
so.
I do believe we brought some extreme value to our listeners, and
Well,
that
I
is
enjoyed it for
there. You
whatever
go.
that's worth.
Yeah. So really, as long as you and I are having a good time,
All that
well,
matters.
that's all that matters. See, we're great. We're great people. We'd be great bosses as long as we're happy. We don't care
Yeah.
about anyone else, right? So no, no. But Chris, how do people reach out, talk, get in touch with you? They need your services. They kind of know what you do now pretty well. Where do they go?
Just WoW remote teams. You could find us on whatever platform you like. LinkedIn's pretty easy normally. Our website's the best place to get us. All the AI bots will tell you about us now, which is kind of interesting. I get a lot of leads from ChatGPT, which is kind of cool.
Well, it's,
Yeah.
that's taken 40% of search from Google.
Oh yeah,
Chat
our
is.
SEO, like yeah, we watch our SEO and it's crazy. Like it's completely transitioned from Google organic. So we're primarily organic. We don't really have a lot of ad spend just because
Right,
we're a smaller player and the ad spend of the
right.
larger players is absolutely just gigantic and
Yeah,
I can't really compete. Also, it's not worthwhile. Like I can pay money for leads that are terrible or I can let leads that are good come to me.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, so Google Organic is still good. It's still one of our main channels, but it's really fallen off, especially because now Google has the AI overview thing at the top, which also talks about us because apparently we have good SEO.
right.
So most of the stuff is either coming through that AI thing, Gemini, ChatGPT, and then some Perplexity and Claude.
Mhm.
Like that's just I see it in real time. This is where people are moving all of their information sourcing from.
Yeah.
Of course, me too, right? I don't sit and
Yep.
dig through Google links and look at a million ads before I figure out which one's the real information. I go ask, I use Claude a lot just because I like Claude and
Yeah.
I
Well,
have a
it's
fairly
it's
good understanding of the
yeah,
information.
it's just beginning. We're all gonna have our own AI agent, personal
Hmm.
assistant, and we're just gonna whatever that is, you're gonna be speaking to it. Get me this, book me a plane flight, do this, all that. That is like around the corner.
Oh,
It's
it's
not
already here.
5 years
Like,
out. It's I know it's
no,
here, but I
yeah.
mean like universal, like everybody's got one.
Oh
That's what I'm
yeah. No,
talking about.
it's yeah.
The
it's
12
wild.
year
It's
old, the 12-year-old their own AI agent, you know what I mean? So, and I love it. I think it's awesome. I really do.
yeah,
I think it's
it's super great.
fantastic.
It's the next round of distillation of information, essentially.
Yeah,
Google was the last one.
I like it because I was pre-internet, right? Back in
Hmm.
the day and building business and all that stuff, the hard way and swinging my pickaxe. Okay. And then you watch that bubble and that was kind of cool. Just watch the whole evolution of that. And then you got smartphones and then all this stuff. And this is just the next thing,
Hmm.
and it's revolutionary in what it can do. It
Yeah.
is beyond the internet evolution. You know what I mean? Like I
Oh
think
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
exponentially bigger and greater than what that was, and it is untapped. And I know they thought about the internet too was kind of untapped in late '90s and all that, but when I look at this now, I see it's so untapped. Like
Yeah.
I keep getting more and more and more and doing more. I'm like, this thing is like nothing can't be stopped. This is amazing. You just use your brain. You got to still use your brain,
Yeah.
but you can
You
direct
gotta
this thing, and
understand how to use a tool.
yeah, it's an amazing tool. So, and I'm sure, you know, you're utilizing it in all ways possible, which is great. So it's cool. And I'm glad it's helping you on SEO too. That's nice. That's nice to see, because some people aren't making the transfer, and that can hurt.
Yeah, I
That can
mean,
put them behind the curve for quite a while
yeah.
till they catch up on that stuff. So yeah, pretty cool. But yes,
Yeah.
another
Well,
tangent.
luckily I have a lot of we have deep SEO. I have what I like to call an unfair advantage when I have access to talent. You
What?
know, my team's interviewing a lot of people, so I get to hire great people. So we've got years of SEO built out, and we've got, a team that has worked on how does that transition to the AI stuff. And I think part of it, I mean, this is just purely conjecture. I have no proof about any of what I'm about to say, so don't hold me to it. I think part of it's that my entire team uses all of these AIs on a daily basis. I think talking to them adds something to it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I have no basis for this, but just the amount of usage that we put into all of these systems is gargantuan. A basis of my business has become AI driven because
Yep.
it makes everything so much more efficient. And it's funny because now we're really tangential. I keep having this conversation. So I'm a CTO, right? I've been in tech for 20 something years. I've built lots of systems, built SaaS platforms, all this kind of stuff. And I have this conversation on podcasts a lot of like, oh, is everybody going to lose their job? Where do you see this going? And like, my team just grows. Nobody's lost their
Right.
job because of it. Everybody just grows. We have more efficiency. We have more stuff we can do. Everybody has a tool that can help them do their thing. And suddenly it's like, I need four more people because now I can do 100 more things.
Yeah.
It
I
just
would.
grows.
I was doing a presentation a month or so ago to a group on AI in business. I'm going rudimentary, right? I'm doing like the introduction, and I start out with like, AI is not going to replace people, but the people who don't use AI will be replaced, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it was. It's like, it's not going to replace people. But AI may, someone using AI is going to replace you.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So just kind of get into it. But you're right, the efficiency aspects, and that's what the computers did. They didn't save us
Yeah.
time. They made us work more. They made us
Yeah,
more
that's what I
efficient
was
so
gonna
we
say.
could
Like,
do
to your
more.
same point is like, the bookkeepers before computers, like Excel didn't get rid of bookkeepers. They
Right.
just had to use Excel. The ones who didn't know how to use Excel didn't have a job anymore.
That's right.
That's all that happened. It's the
And
exact
they
same
took on
paradigm.
way more clients. They
Yeah, no, you can
grew.
just, yeah.
They
Suddenly you can
grew.
just sum the columns
That's right.
automatically, and now you
That's
have
right.
so much more available work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We still never help. We still never hooked up the buggy whip manufacturers. The buggy whips still they never made it back. The buggy
Yeah.
whips went and they just never recovered. But we got to take our losses. Just
I
got
think
to take our losses.
the buggy whips, they became gas pedal manufacturers, right?
That's right. That's right. That's it. Throttle guys. They were throttle
Throttle
guys.
guys.
Yeah, they're throttle guys. I love it. Okay, see, it all worked out. Everything I thought
Yeah.
those poor guys, but no, they're making throttles for Ford or something. Who knows? But it's awesome. Well, Chris, this has been a ton of fun. Just a ton of
Yeah,
fun
it's
as
been
I
great
knew it would
chatting with
be,
you.
man. So always good. So thank you for taking the time today to be with us and just sharing great stuff. This was a healthy conversation. This is
Yeah, I
what
think
people
so.
should be
Yeah.
talking about. This kind of stuff, like these are things that matter. They really do. This wasn't just some anything. This was important.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, you
I
got to
might have to
treat
put
people
in a
right.
full
Do a good job.
transcript. This could be a book. No, it can't. Okay. AI or not, that's not going to do
This would
that.
be a
But
very tangential book. It would be hard to
that's right.
follow.
This is very, very popular for 37 seconds and then
Yeah.
banned.
Well, we could buy
Yeah.
our own and get it on the New York Times bestseller list, you know.
That's right. We can do all that now. Just get my publishing agent, which is now an AI agent. Okay, so get my agent on the horn. Well, it's gonna
You
have a
said you have
whole
a
new
book coming
meaning.
out, right?
I do. The Invisible Layer will be out. I'm supposed to wait 3 months. It's all
Yeah.
the whole promotional thing. So it's finished. You
So
know,
are you with like an actual like a normal publishing house or has that changed? What does that look like these
that
days?
has changed. I've always done self-publishing,
Uh-huh.
and I like it. My first book got bestseller, and I don't do that kind of stuff. That was cool. My second one just got it out there to get it out there. So I
Mm.
I kind of didn't care. It's a really good book. I just didn't put it out there. I'm like, I just give it to people. It's all like here.
Yeah.
They're giveaways kind of. This one, Chris, The Invisible Layer, it's the hidden structural failure undermining manufacturing. That's the subtitle. It's
Hmm.
category defining. If you've read The Goal
Yeah.
or you've read Good to Great and things like
Hmm.
lean, stuff like that, that's where this book's going.
Nice. I'll
This
check
is
it
a
out.
this is it's going to be that. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I have no expectations of making money from book sales because that kind of never happens unless you're those rare guys. But
Hmm.
like the goal, I ended up selling 10 million copies. So I could sell 10 million copies. That'd be okay. But the book is it's spectacular. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I mean, it's my best work, and it's category defining. This whole invisible layer thing is really, really cool, and diagrams, and it's oh man, I'm proud of this book. So
that's
it's
awesome.
gonna it's
Well, I
gonna
can't
do
wait to
some
check
good
it out.
stuff. Yes, I will send you a copy. Would you
Yeah,
prefer the
please do.
digital copy? I can get you a digital copy because I'm gonna have a few handouts, but yeah, it'll be out there.
Yeah, I don't
It's
mind.
gonna be good. Yeah, man.
I read on my Kindle every day, every
Yeah, that's
night.
what it's about. So I'll
Yeah,
hook you up.
we've
I'll hook you up for
lost.
being such an awesome guest. Twice.
Awesome. Thank you.
You deserve an invisible layer book. That's what is there any higher praise than getting the
Right?
invisible layer book? No, of course. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Chris,
Uh,
you are the man. I appreciate the time again today. This was a blast. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.